Hello friends, this is Suman Rudra from India, and continuing on my podcast on about the LinkedIn Connect Meet. I think the next session was by one of my favorite authors and role models, Ravi Venkatesan. He shared his kind of insight about the book that he has written. What the heck do I do with my life? How to flourish in our turbulent times. So I think the book is very relevant to today's time. I would advise all my listeners to definitely have a look at the book. He shared some insights, I think, which I would like to share with you. I think makes sense for us to know these three trends that he kind of foresees from his experience. The one I think he shared about is about building leaders, on a kind of a broad-based level. And I think that the question often being asked to HR professionals is, how do you build leaders? Okay, and how do you build leaders to stay relevant with the changing times? I think through his experience, he's kind of advising to build leaders through experience of working on some crucible projects, as he said, and to kind of give them exposure to some of the business critical projects and that the company would be kind of wanting to execute going forward. I think here the chance is to kind of expose them to the new challenges of the business. Some of them can also be some innovation projects. So I think the way to kind of go about is to kind of identify certain certain emerging leaders based on certain parameter, which can be performance potential, and to kind of expose them and to give them an opportunity to do some of these business critical crucible projects. Okay, and from his experience, he shared that maybe around 5 to 10% of the entire selected pool will actually emerge as the brightest leaders, but I think the process has stood the test of time, and I think that's one of the recommendation that you would have to kind of HR to kind of look forward for building leaders in the organization. The second, I think he was talking about building talent. And there are certain practices that HR professionals should follow. We all know that one of the ways to kind of mark progress in somebody's career is through promotions, and I think and promotions are definitely a great way of building talent from within. But I think what he was recommending is to kind of have a difference between promotion for rewards or promotion for performance and promotion for potential. So basically what he's want to saying is that people who are good performers, they definitely should be rewarded well, but people who go beyond performance, and when I say go beyond performance, it's basically about who are the champion of talent, who are building talent in their teams, in the group they work, in the function they work, who kind of are creating the next organization, the organization of the future, who are going to drive the company or the organization going forward. I think it's important that those are the people who should be selected to move up the career hierarchy, especially in a managerial role. Because going forward, in a managerial role, the contribution of building talent is more relevant and critical to the company than pure performance. So I think that was a good insight for us to kind of think back and know when we are kind of looking at people to kind of promote. The third, I think, aspect was basically about the entire nature of work. I think though we all know that work is becoming more tech intensive, and we have to be we have to use technology to kind of help our jobs getting more, I would say, not just simpler but also more effective. But I think the people skill are going to stay more and more relevant as we have adopted a hybrid model, as we adopted a remote workforce. I think it's going to be that the technology will provide us an insight about how our talent, what's our talent expectation is. I think, but it's up to us to kind of map the expectation and deliver the experience. I think the last point he covered, I think, which is very very topical and relevant, especially nowadays in a country like India. We have been hearing about things of how to measure productivity, especially in an environment where some teams are working remote, some teams are working in office. I think that the question comes back to HR, that how do you ensure that your teams are working at peak productivity. And I think especially in jobs which are more creative in nature, things like technology professionals who write lines of codes, people who are doing design, people who are in product management, people who are in human resource, in marketing function. I think all this, where there is no direct linkage to an output of productivity which can be measured on a daily or a monthly basis. I think the challenge for HR professionals is to kind of provide a I would say some numeric approach to productivity. And I think the advice that he was giving is that measuring time and using any of those proxy work measures will definitely not be useful. I think that would be kind of missing the woods for the trees. So I think a careful approach needs to be taken. Sometimes it is more of as we all know, the results based approach, kind of the feedback based approach, the customer feedback based approach. And when I say customer, it's both internal and external, taken over a period of time. I think some of these factors are going to be more, I would say, important in driving and in knowing the productivity of teams, and kind of stay away from proxy measures of typical time in attendance and things like that. So I think these are the 4 points I think he shared, and definitely a recommended read of his book, What the Heck Do I Do With My Life? And I think that should provide us a more deeper insights about how to kind of manage in today's turbulent time. So signing off on the part 2 of LinkedIn Connect, shall put on a part 3 very soon. Thank you.